The gold rushes of 1861 to 63 radically altered Otago's founding population, upsetting its gender balance dramatically. As hordes of single, unattached young men poured in, there were fears about disorder and violence in the short term, and a growing realisation that the male influx would need to be matched with a large group of young women coming as well. The Otago provincial government promptly reduced its support for assisted male immigration, and in early 1862 offered half-price fares from Britain to bring 1,200 single women instead. The focus was on female domestic servants who could work for middle-class mistresses for a time and then go on to become the wives and mothers of the working families that would secure the future growth and stability of Otago. My great-great-grandmother, Catherine MacDonell, was one of those assisted immigrants. Hailing from County Cavan in the north of Ireland, her name appears on the list of female assisted immigrants to Otago that arrived here per the John Duncan in February 1863. Now, there were 27 Irish girls on that boat, but there were also 100 English girls of a supposedly superior class, the protégés of the pushy English philanthropist Miss Maria Rye. This was the second group of English girls recruited by Miss Rye for Otago, and she was accompanying them to check out the colonial scene for herself. She was soon to stir up controversy when she launched scathing criticisms of the Otago authorities and their treatment of single female immigrants. Meantime, however, she also made it her business to push her girls onto prospective employers in Dunedin ahead of any others in the immigration barracks, and especially the Irish girls who she despised. Perhaps it's no wonder that my Ulster-phobia Catherine MacDonell, or Catherine MacDonald as she also appears in the records, promptly hightailed it inland to the Dunstan goldfield, where she quickly obtained work as a barmaid on the Thompson's diggings at the foot of the Dunstan Mountains, here in a place then becoming known as Tinkers and now known as Matakanui. That would have made her one of the few women on the Otago goldfields at that time. In 1862, for example, there'd been 150 women and 11,500 men. The wages she could earn pouring drinks were much more than those of a domestic servant down in Dunedin. Catherine must have endured some wild times in her early days here, when thirsty miners piled into the primitive bars and sought the solace of booze and female company. That would also made her something of a star attraction as a potential bride, and sure enough, just 18 months after arrival, she married local hotel and storekeeper John Mallor. Over the next decade, Catherine gave birth to 7 children and played her part in transforming the diggings around Tinkers into a settled village community. But when her husband died prematurely in 1879, she had to take over his interest in various mining claims around here, his substantial hotel and storekeeping operation, and become a businesswoman in her own right. She later extended her endeavours into sheep farming and quietly prospered, even as the Tinkers' gold returns gradually declined. When she died in 1903, the local newspaper acknowledged her as one of the earliest residents of the district, and by then she may well have been the woman who had lived the longest in Tinkers since its beginnings. She was buried in the cemetery at Drybread, a rival settlement just down the road of which now only the cemetery remains. And here, right at its centre, is this imposing headstone to Catherine and John Mallor.